Greetings and salutations. My name is OJ as always, and welcome back to another episode of the Deadlockathon, a series of videos where I go over every single character in Valve's not so secret hidden game Deadlock. I'll be going in alphabetical order from Abrams to Yamato. I'll be covering their lore / personality, their gameplay and abilities, as well as their design. Please do keep in mind though that everything I talk about is subject to change at a later date, as that's just kind of like the nature with a game like Deadlock that is still actively being worked on. And if you wish to play Deadlock for yourself, I will throw up my Steam name on screen now. All you got to do is subscribe, and then I'll send you a code. Not really, but that's besides the point. You can subscribe if you feel so inclined. But with that said, our object of obsession for today is the Sandman of the OSIC division. That being Haze. Now, as I do in all of these videos, I would like to start by reading off some of her lore. Please do keep in mind that there isn't really that much, especially in Haze's case. A lot of the lore and tidbits of information I find are from the Deadlock wiki, and man, there is like nothing on Haze outside of her actual background and like 2 interactions that give us more info on her. She is a very, very mysterious woman. But anyways, with that said, her in-game background reads as such. The Occult Security and Investigation Commission is a black box government organisation that makes the CIA look transparent. It falls on the men, women and entities of the OSIC to keep the country safe from sinister forces that are beyond the capabilities of local law enforcement. As a member of the notorious Sandman division, Haze is routinely tasked with infiltrating the dreams of persons of interest to assess their threat level and, if needed, to put them to sleep. So basically, Haze is Freddy Krueger. That's what you get the idea, right? She infiltrates people's dreams. If she deems them a threat, she kills them. Pretty simple stuff. She's like a government-affiliated Freddy Krueger. That's what I'm going to call her now. Government Freddy Krueger. That's literally all we have though for her lore. As it says, the OSIC are a very mysterious group of people, so as a result, we don't know anything about them. I looked through like all of Haze's sort of back and forths with other characters. She very rarely actually addresses the OSIC, outside of like saying, oh Dynamo, there's a position for you at the OSIC if you feel so inclined, and acknowledging that Viscus's problems with the Deep are, OSIC worthy. But beyond that, we know nothing about this group. We know that Haze is a part of them, and that's about as far as it goes. Some other tidbits about her, though, is that she can play the cello, which I'm actually going to play the interaction where she mentions that in a minute. But before I move on to that, there's still some other stuff. Seven, of all people, teases Haze for working alongside him and asks how soon they will start fighting each other once the ritual is over. And that's about it. Her and Grey Talon know each other somehow as well. I mentioned that in the previous video, which was obviously on Grey Talon. But yeah, Haze is like a character we know next to nothing about. Like, I think even we know more about the Doorman than we do Haze, which I guess is, perfectly fitting, considering that she is, part of a secret government organisation that no one knows about. But as I just mentioned, when it comes to personality, Haze is a very, not flat character. She has, some little jabs here and there, but she is a very serious character. She takes her job very seriously, and even my beloved Viscus does mention that in the voice line that I will play in a minute, as I just said. But yeah, she's a very, very serious woman. Like, all of her interactions are, in a business sort of sense. There's very, very rarely will she have a joke with someone or laugh about something with anyone. She is a very serious woman, and all of her stuff is about business. Like, just as an example here, there's a voice line between her and Abrams. Sorry, that struggled to get my words out there. Where he asked her if she liked being a Sandman, and she just replies with, "I'm good at my job." And then Abrams says, "That's not what I asked," and she replies with, "Stay focused on the task at hand." Like, she doesn't even try to engage in casual conversation with like anyone. But as I said, I would want to play some of her voice lines. However, weirdly, Haze is one of the weird characters who's had kind of 2 voices. I'm not fully sure why, but a lot of her older voice lines are very like groany, Like, how do you explain it? It sounds like she kind of groans her words out, in a sense. There is like kind of a gravelly sound to her voice. But a lot of the newer voice lines between, say, her and Viscous, which is one of the ones I'll play, she has like a whisper to her voice. So she kind of has these two different voices, and I'm not really sure which one I like more. The gravelly one kind of fits with, you know, like the serious, you know, military person feel that she has. But that whispery, sort of otherworldly sounding voice fits more with what she does as part of the OSIC. Like, if someone appeared in my dreams and started whispering to me, I don't know, I'd be pretty damn scared. She would put the fear in me. Like, I think I like the new voice better, the whispery one, but either way, I'm now going to play you a voice line interaction between her and Mo and Krill, because I love Mo and Krill, and I think they're incredibly funny, and that one will be the old voice for her. And then I will play a voice line between her and Viscous to show the news voice for her. And, you know, kind of just to show you, like, the two different voices she had, because I'm not really sure which one I like more, and I'm kind of curious to see what, say, you might, or any of you may think of the difference between her voices. But with that said, those voice lines sound as such.
So you're one of the fabled Sandmen of the OSIC?
I am.
How impressed will I be when I see my tax dollars at work?
Neither of you pay taxes.
That is very true.
You seem serious.
I have a serious job.
Do you ever have fun?
Of course.
What do you do?
I play the cello.
Neat.
But yeah, I literally have like no clue why they changed her voice. I looked around online trying to find some explanation or some reason, and yeah, there's literally nothing. But I'm kind of curious to see what you all think of the change in voice, and I think it's probably because obviously game's work in progress. Maybe they're trying to go for a different direction with the character. Maybe the idea they have in mind doesn't really fit that gravelly, groany voice. Maybe the whispery one sounds better to them. But yeah, I'm kind of curious what you lot all think of that. That will probably be the question I pose to you for the video, because some of you may never have even heard Haze's old voice. I know a lot of you have obviously like friend requested me on Steam and started playing the game for the first time, so you wouldn't have even known what Haze used to sound like. But yeah, it's interesting why they changed it. And with all of that said, I am done talking about her lore and her personality, because I know it's a bit quicker than usual, but like, Haze doesn't really have anything. She's a very sort of serious, not flat, but very serious character, and lore-wise, she's incredibly mysterious, so we don't know anything about her. It's not like Doorman, where there is like some semblance and a lot of speculation you can do. With Haze, the OSIC is the OSIC. We don't know anything about them. And we don't even have hints to what they do outside of, you know, keeping the country safe from sinister forces, such as, I don't know, someone like Seven, who is, you know, a sinister force to say the least. But yeah, with that said, I'd now like to move on to her gameplay and her abilities. Right, so here we are in the ever so lovely and ever so helpful training range. But before I can talk about Haze's gameplay and abilities, if I sound a little bit different, it's because for these segments I use OBS to record my gameplay and audio simultaneously, which allows me to show and tell actually at the same time. But with that disclaimer out of the way, let's start by talking about Haze's weapons. You just saw that misclick in real time, I'm embarrassed. Those being the Censure and Penance. Now, these are a twin set of dual SMGs with comically large suppressors on them, though I suppose that would have been fitting for the time, because I'm sure, as some of you may know, suppressors way back when were just these huge chunks of metal on the end of guns instead of the sort of slim barrels that they are now. But these weapons are, and I mean this, her bread and butter. Haze is a very, very gun-damaged focused character. Like, although her dagger does... We'll get to the dagger in a minute, right? Her dagger does spirit damage. Everything else? Not really. Everything else just is either a utility skill or a bullet damage skill. She is a bullet damage character first and foremost. I don't even think it's actually possible to play spirit like Haze. I don't think there's a single one. Like, okay, well, immediately as I say that, we find a build that's actually about spirit. Okay, ignoring that one build, Spirit Haze is not really a thing. She does all of her damage through her guns, which, I mean, they're very solid. They are, you know, they have a decent reload time, nothing like stupidly long. They do decent damage, they do really solid headshot damage, and due to their nature as SMGs, well, you do kind of, I mean, even from this range, they do quite respectable damage. Like, Haze is a character where you don't necessarily have to be good at her specifically, but you have to have very good fundamentals to play her well. AKA, you need to be good at aiming. Like, if you're really good at aiming, you will be really good at Haze. Like, I can't even stress how good Haze is if you can aim. But from her guns, which, as I said, are incredibly strong and solid, we move on to her first ability, that being the Sleep Dagger, which has a 26-second cooldown, and you throw a dagger that damages and sleeps the target. Sleeping targets wake up shortly after being damaged. Throwing a dagger does not break your invisibility. Sleep Dagger does not interrupt enemies' channeling abilities. The sleep status effect kind of just makes you completely unable to do anything. It's like a complete disable outside of, as it says, it cannot interrupt enemies' channeling abilities. Though I think you can interrupt... Can you interrupt, like, say, Seven doing his ultimate? I don't know if you can. I don't know if that counts as a channeling ability. Maybe. I'm not sure. I'm not actually sure what counts and what isn't a channeling ability, per se. I would think Seven's ult is, but I'm not sure. Either way, it does 65 spirit damage. Its wake-up time is 0.1 seconds, I presume, after you sleep, or after you, shoot them. The minimum sleep time is 0.2 seconds, the sleep duration in full is 3 seconds, and the sleep movement speed is lowered to 2 meters per second. To show the movement speed thing first, let's go over to this lovely little fella who runs around a lot. But if you throw the knife, they become incredibly slow, have the sort of Z's above their head, and as you can see, they just kind of like slump over. Now, if I actually show it on this sort of stationary target, you throw the knife, you shoot them, they wake up. Now, what is the purpose of this ability, you may ask? Well, the idea is that you kind of combo this with another one of her abilities, that being the smoke bomb, as in you would smoke bomb. Basically, the smoke bomb is invisibility. I'll talk about it more in a second, but it's basically invisibility. So invisible, get up to close to someone, throw the knife, and then just dump your mag. Like, that is genuinely how you will do, like, half of someone's health if you play it well. Like, the Sleep Dagger is kind of an initiation to actually start combat. You can throw it in the middle of combat, of course, because it would prevent them from attacking you. Like, I don't know, say you see Lady Geist holding out one of her green explosive balls of doom, throw the knife. You see, just see anyone, throw the knife. If you think that you can throw the knife and get a few shots off, throw the knife. It does have a 26-second cooldown though, so don't throw the knife all the time, but you get the idea. Anyways, its first upgrade removes 1 stamina once an enemy has been woken up. Its second upgrade reduces its cooldown to 14 seconds and decreases stamina recovery for 6 seconds by 60% on wake up. And the third upgrade applies a 12% bullet resist and a minus 40% fire rate for 6 seconds on wake up. So basically it's a debuff machine. Like, just as, so you can see what I mean by it's a initiation attack. Like, Haze wants to be up close and personal. So if you throw the knife and you land it, they lose a bit of stamina and their stamina recovery is just gutted for like 6 seconds, meaning that they can't really run away from you, meaning you get to shoot them a lot. And what does that third upgrade do again? Oh, it reduces their bullet resist. Wow, it's almost like you want to shoot them. So yeah, you would throw the knife, they can't run away, and then you just do more damage. And they can't even fight back because of the fire rate resist, unless of course they are someone who does all of their damage through spirit, but you get my point, right? And as I mentioned earlier, her second ability is known as Smoke Bomb. It has a 30-second cooldown, an 8-second duration, and you fade out of sight, becoming invisible, gaining sprint speed. Attacking removes invisibility, but using items does not. Close enemies can see you through your invisibility. You get the invisibility status effect, obviously. The fade time, so the transition from fully visible to invisible, is 1.5 seconds. You can be spotted within an 18-meter radius, and your extra sprint speed, whilst invisible, is 2 meters per second. and that looks as such. You kind of just instantly turn sort of smoky, and as you can see, you yourself can see when an enemy is able to see you. You can see this sort of red ring around you to show you how close enemies have to be to detect you. But this is what you look like. You are basically completely invisible, and if you get into range, they'll see it's like a sort of shimmering version of you. The whole point of Smoke Bomb, as I alluded to and mentioned many times earlier, is to Smoke Bomb, come out of it, and, you know, like, you can throw the knife whilst, you know, invisible. So, like, you don't even need to get that close. You can kind of just throw the knife and then bang. Simple as that. And as it said, using items does not actually, you know, affect it. So if we say go to the healing section here, let's buy Majestic Leap. This is what Majestic Leap looks like for anyone that doesn't know what this ability does. You just kind of launch yourself in the air and then you can drop down. If you go invisible, you can still stay invisible even whilst using Majestic Leap. Which, funny enough, I'm not really sure why that's not on any builds. Theoretically, that could be quite a good... Majestic Leap could be kind of good on her, actually, if I think about it. I may have to test that out eventually. But either way, the invisibility is to allow you to get in safely, and sometimes, if the need arises, to escape safely from engagement to engagement. But its first upgrade gives you an extra 5 meters sprint speed whilst invisible, bringing it up to 7 meters per second. Your second upgrade, after invisible, your bullets gain 10% life steal for 8 seconds. And after its third upgrade, you enable ability charges and grant 0.5 seconds of invisibility. What do you mean?
No one will bar my path.
Huh? Oh wait, is it because I have no cooldown on?
Now they see me.
Charges? Why would... Hold up. Enables charges of ability. Enables ability charges and grants 0.5 seconds of invisibility. I'm not exactly sure why you would want that. Oh, okay. Okay. So extra charge, if you buy an item that gives you extra charges, it goes onto Smoke Bomb, allowing you to use Smoke Bomb multiple times. And okay, yeah, I understand now. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. Crisis averted. Video was almost just completely ruined because I'm stupid and don't understand what words mean. But yeah, so on your final upgrade, you are able to give the Smoke Bomb multiple charges, which is why this build, just for example, which is a really good build, by the way, has extra charges in the optional section. That's quite neat. That's a fine enough ability. That's a fine enough final upgrade. Probably could be a little bit better, but this ability is already quite strong. I mean, look at the movement speed you get whilst you're invisible. Like this, that's not chump speed. Like you can get around the map very quickly with invisibility, and I guess that's why you would want the second charge, so you could like switch from one charge to another to really get some distance. But yeah, Smoke Bomb is a initiation tool first and foremost. You're meant to use it kind of to get into an engagement, to throw the knife, and then to dump your mags into them. But I'm sure you're wondering, you probably noticed earlier, what's this little icon above their heads when you shoot them? Well, that, my dear viewer, would be Fixation, her third ability. Shooting a target increases your bullet damage on that target. Gain 1 stack per bullet hit, 2 if the hit is a headshot. You get 0.2 per stack or 0.2 weapon damage per stack. You have a max of 40 stacks. And yeah, you can see what I meant by if you can aim, you'll be good at Haze. Because if you do those headshots, you rack up the damage very quickly. This is how she melts people. I'm sure if any of you have played Deadlock, you've had occasions where Haze just appears out of thin air and it completely obliterates you. Knife, and then just dumps her mag into your forehead and you die and you can't really do anything about it. This is why. Fixation is the big reason why. There is a 6-second cooldown on it, I believe, for some reason. I presume that's for its first upgrade, which is a lovely transition. On its first upgrade, it does 55 spirit damage and a 15% slow for 2 seconds to a target every 20 stacks. On its second upgrade, you get an extra 40 stacks max. 40 max stacks, yeah, and 5 seconds duration. And on its third upgrade, the per stack weapon damage jumps up to 0.12 from 0.2. Oh, I don't think it's meant to say 0.12 because it's just jumped up to 0.32. I'm not sure that's how that works. But either way, you understand what I mean now, right? Like the added spirit damage is there just to... The slow is what is really good about that second upgrade. Like, oh no, the first upgrade. The slow prevents enemies from like running away from you whilst you just dump your mags into them. Like, she just does so much damage. Like, seriously, it's actually insane how much damage Haze can do under the right circumstances. Like, just as a example, I'm gonna buy a bunch of these late game items for shits and giggles. You know, like, I don't want that one. Let's just get every single thingy that we can. Why not? Let's get siphon bullets too. Like, look how much damage the Haze can do. Do you see the issue here? Like, look at that damage. Do you see what I mean? Like, if Haze is... See, I said Drifter was the Snowball King, right? I like to think of Haze as the Snowball Queen. She can just fly through games, all because of fixation. Fixation just does... You just do so much damage through fixation, and the fact that her guns are just really solid. Like, obviously in that little bit there, that little damage test, I was shooting at his head, but even if I shot at his body, like, but that's actually a good show. If I shoot at his body, I'm still doing, like, respectable damage, right? But if I shoot at his head, you see the difference. That's a huge difference. And I'm not even, like, clicking on any of the actives. Like, if I use capacitor, vampiric burst, like, I actually did so much damage, it reduced this dumbass training bot down to no health. Like, you get it. I'm sure you understand how ridiculous this is. By the way, just as one last little teeny tiny cherry on top, all of that damage was without me throwing my knife. So if I did throw my knife, like, obviously a lot of the damage there has to do with lucky shot, which makes it so my bullets have a chance to be, you know, empowered. But, like, still, you can see what I mean. But she just does too much damage in a quick burst. Like, let's just, one last try. I'm just so enamored with how much damage Haze can do so quickly. Like, throw the knife, vampiric burst, that thing, and then just dump the mag. It's actually insane how much damage she can do. Like, can you imagine being in your dreams? Haze just pops up as the Sandman and just actually deletes you from existence. And we're not stopping there, by the way. We have her ultimate known as Bullet Dance. It has a 15-meter radius, a 3-second duration, and has an 165-second cooldown at base. You enter a flurry, firing your weapon at nearby enemies with perfect accuracy and added bullet damage. Your fire is increased by 35%. You do 6 extra bullet damage, and you get your movement speed goes down to 4 meters per second during the dance. Which, I'm sure if any of you have played Overwatch in your lives, which I'm sure at least some of you have, you'll recognize this ability a little. Yeah, she just has Reaper's ult from Overwatch, a just spinning barrage of death. By the way, those bullets do have, you know, or like the bullets are your bullets. So if you have items such as Ricochet, Lucky Shot, Armor Piercing Round, Toxic Bullets, Burst Fire, stuff like that, those all apply on Bullet Dance. Like, that's a lot of damage. She can wipe teams on her own. With that one ability, with Bullet Dance, she can wipe a team. If she plays her cards right, she can obliterate a team. Which is why I'm actually surprised that more or less, not a lot of people really use Mystical Leap, which is, yeah, Majestic Leap. Because theoretically, right, if you hear me out on this one, invisibility, jump in the air, drop down, and then fall. Like, you would just actually come out of thin air, and what can they do? Like I didn't even pop all of my stuff. Like, I could do all of this, and then just... Look at that damage! You get the idea. By the way, that's just the level 1 version of it, because at its first upgrade, you get an extra 4 bullet damage, meaning that your bullets get an extra 10 damage during your ult. The cooldown on second upgrade goes down to 120 seconds, and on the third upgrade, you get 60% bullet evasion and extra 3 meters per second during the dance. Bullet evasion, I presume, is just like a dodge. So if enemies try and shoot you during your dance, they're just not going to hit you. Like, the bullets will just miss, as if you never even shot them in the first place. So yeah, that just gives her more survivability during her ult, which is probably the one big issue with it. Because say I, like start doing my bullet dance. As you can see, there is a ring around me to show where I'm hitting people. But enemies out of it could easily, like, just stand back and shoot me. You're relatively a sitting duck, at least before your third upgrade. Your third upgrade makes you, quite a bit faster. But, like, you're relatively a sitting duck for the first 2 levels, meaning enemies can just kind of stand out of it and shoot you. But otherwise, yeah, this ability is just stupid. You can just kill a whole team with it. Like, it actually just kill everyone. Let's just spawn in these Inferno spots, right? Oh, I can only spawn at the max of them. Right, watch. Bang. Like, of course, enemies can move and stuff like that, and they can run away. But remember, anything that's on her bullets can be applied. So, say, for example, you buy... it's not here, but where is slowing bullets? Slowing bullets is an item. Yeah, slowing bullets. If you really had a problem with enemies running out of your, ring of death, you could buy slowing bullets. And then what? What are they going to do now? They're going to run? They're slowed down. 30% slow even. It's like, and remember, what does fixation do? It applies on bullet damage. So it applies on the ult. And what happens when you apply 20 stacks? There's a slow. So if you use slowing bullets, 45% slow during your ult. Do you think they would escape that? I don't think so. Yeah, Haze just does so much bullet damage. It is insane. And it's not like she's just only good at killing actual enemies, right? Like, she can melt towers. Like, because all of her damage comes from bullets. Like, she can absolutely melt a tower if she's... or a guardian, or a walker, or base guardians, the shrine, the patron. Like, I don't know how many times where I've seen just Hazes go invisible, run halfway across the map into the enemy base, use their ult on the patron, and just win the game just like that, because she just does that much damage. But the thing is, right, if you kind of halt her early on in the game and she's not allowed to hit her, like, item spikes, because she does kind of rely quite a lot on items. Not to say she's bad without them, but once she has her items and she starts like getting going with stuff like toxic bullets, lucky shot, ricochet, armor piercing rounds, all that sort of stuff. Once she starts running with that, then she becomes a real problem. But until that point, she can get shut down. Like, there is a difference between a bad Haze and a good Haze. And it does usually come down to your ability to aim, because as it says, you do extra stacks on headshots, which, of course, as I have proven many a times, is quite important. Seriously, look, I almost just killed those Infernuses just by shooting this guy in the head. Stupid. Ricochet is such a dumb item on gun characters. It's crazy. But yeah, you get the idea with Haze. She can do unbelievable amounts of damage, but she does kind of have to get ahead before she can really do that. But either way, I really like Haze's gameplay. I'm not particularly the best at her due to the fact I'm not very good at aiming, but sometimes now and then I have a good Haze game and I'll just sit there as I look at the victory screen and be like, yeah, Haze is like really strong. She's like her and Drifter are like the snowball kings. But at least, unlike Drifter, who, if Drifter is unable to get blood sense stacks, he can struggle quite a bit late in game. Haze will kind of always be good. Like, even if she doesn't get the lead, right, she can always catch up and still be ridiculously strong. If Drifter fails to get some blood sense stacks, it can kind of hurt him in the long run. Because although he'll still, be really solid late game, if he had the blood sense stacks, he'd be really strong, right? He actually has an ability dedicated to solo kills. But Haze doesn't need that. She kind of just does that. Weirdly enough, they are very similar to one another, both of them specializing in majority gun damage with the rare occasional bloody spirit build. I cannot believe there is a build dedicated to her knife. I may actually, I'm going to favorite that and I'm going to go use it once I've done this video. I'm actually going to do that because I'm really intrigued. But yeah, I really like Haze's gameplay. She's very fun to play as, very mobile because of the smoke bombs. Yeah, I just enjoy her a lot. She does really remind me of Reaper though. Just a character that's majority focused on guns, doing most of their damage, having an ultimate that spins you around and kills everything in the vicinity. She has a very Reaper-esque, and she's even, made of shadows. Like, I think she's made of shadows, but that is discussion for the next segment of this video, that being the design. Yes, I like to kind of transition. That was a really bad transition, but let's let's move on from that and kind of smoothly transition into the design talk. Now, Haze is one of the few characters who recently got her model updated with the newest update, that being on, when they started releasing the new 6 heroes. I believe the other characters affected by the updated model changes were her, Ivy, Lady Geist, Lash, and Vindicta, and Pocket. So yeah, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 characters got their models updated. If I remember rightly, Dynamo and Abrams were earlier, like before this most recent update. But yeah, I'm awesome that we got 6 character model updates immediately. However, I do think Haze's isn't finished because, as you can see right here, the knife is clipping into her chest. I don't think this is a finished design per se. But speaking of the design, I'm very fond of it. Although it is a bit simple, it does stand out quite a lot. She has very militaristic gear on her. Like the shirt has a few like medals on the chest, and she has patches on the arms that kind of, and the shoulder, that kind of indicate a militaristic look to her. Her trousers are very simple, very like kind of like baggy. They look like sweatpants almost. Like they almost look like, yeah, they almost look like sweatpants with the stripes down the side as well. Like I'm not really sure why she's wearing heeled boots, but more power to her. If a woman can kill people in their dreams in heels, I'm gonna shout go on girl. But obviously the key, most interesting part of her is the head. This weird sort of shadowy look that she has to her head has always really intrigued me. It's obviously still not completed. As you can see, she kind of like, weirdly enough, I've always thought that it's just Calico's head, no? Like it's just Calico's sort of, is it a bun? I think it's a bun. It's kind of like Calico's bun, just kind of completely blacked out, and they put like a cheap sort of Roblox looking effect around, like a black Roblox flame around it. So clearly the head part is unfinished yet. I see the idea they're going for though, that her head will just be like actually made of smog or smoke. She's got these glowing yellow eyes, which are very, scary. And the weird orange bit to the lower half of her face kind of looks like, when you like flash or turn on a flashlight underneath your face and it kind of like projects upwards. It's kind of like that. It's like there's an orange light underneath her face kind of projecting upwards to create the shadowy effect. She does have also a weird X on her forehead, which I'm not really sure why she does. Again, as I mentioned many times in the lore segment, we don't really know anything about Haze or the OSIC, so a lot of the stuff around her design is also quite mysterious. She has her throwing knives on her chest, which is a neat way to explain where the hell she gets the knives, even though the animation kind of shows her throwing it from the pocket. Though then again, she does have 2 on her back. She also has a little backpack. What's in that backpack? God only knows. Got a few satchels as well. And her weapons are a set of, they kind of look like Uzis, but not. And they have these comically large suppressors on them, though those would be fitting for the time, I presume. But yeah, I like Haze's design quite a lot, but it is, again, work in progress still quite clearly. Even with the model update, she does still kind of look a bit unfinished. Like, weirdly, actually. Can you guys kind of see that effect on her face? Like the weird warped effect? But then when I aim in, it disappears. Is that just me? Yeah, like her design looks better from a distance almost. Like at this sort of distance, you can't see that she's got like the bun. But then if I get closer and aim in, you can kind of see the bun on her head. But yeah, I really like Haze's design. It's very solid, and I cannot wait to see how it actually turns out in a finished, like complete sense. I think her design also helps me believe the whispery voice more. I think someone who has like this sort of smoke-esque look to them would be less groggy and less groany and more whispery. So in my personal opinion, after looking at design and thinking about it whilst I was doing the gameplay segment, I do think I like the whispery voice for her a lot more. But either way, I really like Haze's design, and I'd say this is the end of the video. If you've found this video informative, helpful, etc., please do like, comment, and subscribe if you feel so inclined. I've been very happy to see the support on the Deadlock videos in general. Glad to hear a lot of people's sort of comments and thoughts about the characters. That's what I really enjoy, like hearing what other people think about these characters. That's why I proposed a question on what people liked more, Haze's old or new voice. But yeah, this is the end of the video. Like, comment, subscribe if you feel so inclined. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, whether that be a good morning, afternoon, evening, etc. And the next episode in this series will be on none other than the cowgirl herself, Holiday.